The Milwaukee Bucks just signed TyTy Washington Jr. to a two-way contract. Washington is just 21 years old, but he played for the Rockets last year, averaging 5 points, and he also played for the Rio Grande Valley Vipers G League team, and he averaged 23 points. Given his NBA and G League experience so far, this signing is a way for him to show off his talent and maybe even make a name for himself in the league. Now, if you're coming across this news for the first time, just like I did, you may be wondering who TyTy Washington Jr. is. And if that's the case, don't worry, because when I first heard, I didn't know either, but I did my research. Turns out he's a first-round pick who played college basketball for the Kentucky Wildcats, and judging from his G League performance, he seems pretty promising. He averaged 23 points, and no matter what league you're in, if you're putting up 23 points a game, then I think you definitely deserve a spot on an NBA roster. I know that NBA looks at the G League to fill their roster spots, and Milwaukee is doing just that. They've needed to add depth at the point guard position behind Jrue Holiday, and I know they have a few contenders for that spot, and honestly, Washington Jr. has a great chance at being the primary backup if everything goes well. You might also be wondering what a two-way contract is. In short, these contracts are a way for NBA teams to have more players at their disposal. It also gives players a shot at making it full-time in the league, but there are a few restrictions though. So if there's an NBA team who has a full 15-man roster, they're allowed to add 2 more players on a two-way contract, but no more than that. And these players can practice and they can travel with the team full-time, but they can only play in a maximum of 50 games throughout the season. And honestly, I think that's a great deal. If you have the opportunity to sign somebody on a two-way deal and then have them play 50 games, that's a perfect trial and error type of situation, where you can see if they're good, see if they're not good, and the risk is relatively low at that point too. The one bad thing about a player who's on a two-way contract is they make significantly less than the average NBA player. In fact, they also make less than the veterans minimum. So I think the max salary that a two-way contract player can have, I think it's about $400,000, more or less, which isn't that much given NBA money. But again, it's an opportunity to make it to the big league, so can't really complain about that either way. And now that the team has signed him, what exactly does this mean for Milwaukee? Well, number one, as I just said, this deal can't hurt because they're getting him for really cheap, meaning the risk is so low that if it goes well, they can give him a contract, and if it doesn't go well, then, they didn't lose that much money to begin with. So the deal doesn't hurt at all. And also, as I said earlier, behind Jrue Holiday, their point guard spot has needed a backup for a while now, and they have a few options, and given his accomplishments, I think he can contend for that primary backup spot too. And I think he'd be a great addition to the team. Even if he played just 10 to 15 minutes a game, I think that's a perfect way to, take care of the ball when Jrue Holiday is sitting on the bench. And one thing that Milwaukee's doing recently that I'm a fan of is they're adding a lot of youth to their roster. Washington Jr. is just 21 years old, and he's not the only one that they've signed recently that's relatively young, but younger players give you the energy and the endurance that you need to get through a full, long NBA season. And on top of that, if Milwaukee wants to make a long and, a good playoff run, then they need endurance and they need energy. And so adding youth to the roster is never a bad idea. So I'm looking forward to how this signing works out for both Washington Jr. and the Bucks. If he doesn't find a future there, then I do hope that he can shine enough so that another team may see his talent and they sign him instead. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know your predictions for Washington Jr. and just for the Bucks. If you think they'll do well this season, or if you don't think they'll do well, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Anyways, I'm going to continue to drop NBA content every day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.